hangout on here.
We're live.
We are
Live
live.
Sunday night.
Yes, and we've got a nice excursion to share with you tonight. Um,
Yeah. Bear Mountain Foliage Cruise, right?
yeah, so we looked it up earlier this week and really found it interesting. Mike found out some information about it, and we booked it and we went on it. It was great.
It was great. And for those of you not familiar with the geography, here's a map of. Am I screen sharing yet?
Not yet.
One moment then. Let me go ahead and do that.
Yes,
Entire screen. Share. Whoa. All right.
there it
So,
is.
all right. So here's a map of the greater New York area. And our hike, which was really a bike ride to a cab ride to a boat cruise to a hike to a boat cruise. Something like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we rode our bikes from our home in Jersey City to North Hoboken, where we wanted to take the ferry. We got to North Hoboken a little after 8 a.m., but turns out that the ferry was not working and will not start working until 9:02. But we needed to be on the Circle Line cruise at 9 a.m. So we had a little bit of a dilemma there, but we ended up taking a cab from the ferry port into the Circle Line,
Through
and we
the
did it
scenic
plenty of times.
through the scenic Lincoln Tunnel. For those of you who haven't ever taken a cab ride through the Lincoln Tunnel, let me tell you, you're in for a treat. Especially if it's a surly, slightly disgruntled uh, um, Hoboken cab driver.
Yes, he was slightly disgruntled that
Slightly
time.
disgruntled.
You
But
know,
Robin tipped him well, so we hope he wound up gruntled at the end. And then the
yes.
cab, sorry, the actual cruise up the Hudson goes past the George Washington Bridge here, on up past the Tappan Zee Bridge, up along through Croton on the Hudson, past Stony Point, up to Bear Mountain Bridge and Bear Mountain State Park. Um, and that's where we spent our day. So there's a big Oktoberfest this time of year, right, Robin?
Yes. And this cruise happens a few weekends in October, and I think maybe the first weekend in November. Some of them go. And the Oktoberfest is a yearly event, so if you ever want to go up there for Oktoberfest, it's a great way to get there.
And we really, what we got more out of it even than Oktoberfest, I think, was the hike and just the access to the foliage was really what we were looking for, right?
Yes. We really wanted to go to we really wanted to go to Bear Mountain. We had not really been before, and this was a great opportunity to get up there and to check it out and see what it is, and also to check out Oktoberfest. You know, it's the first time we're doing it, and we're really fascinated by what kind of events you can get to from outside the city.
Yep. And then also the Circle Line as a nice vessel that was going to take a Hudson River cruise. We'd done a foliage cruise a few years ago on the water taxi, but we never got up um, on the Circle Line. And the nice thing about the Circle Line is you get about 3 hours in Bear Mountain State Park. So we thought we could do a hike and maybe check out the Oktoberfest German food scene and whatnot. And as you can see from the shot here, we're filled with a bunch of 20-something beer drinkers primarily, traveling in packs of, say, 5 to 12 or so. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. And just be prepared that once uh, the Circle Line left port, there was a line for beer. The bars, there were multiple bars on the boat, and everyone had a line just go wrapping around the deck.
Yeah, they know they're drinking, and this is a time-lapse photo of the a film of the ride up. This is heading up by the little red lighthouse under the George Washington Bridge. And we had a pretty good seat, except we were right near the bar. And like we mentioned, if you're not a hard drinker, you're going to be around a bunch of hard drinkers. But they were relatively well behaved, right?
Yeah, yeah, they were good. There was no, yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And there was a tour guide, like sort of telling us what we're going to see and talking about the history of the ride. You can see some of the shenanigans going on around here. But overall, it was nice, relatively comfortable. We would have liked to have gotten a little bit more sun, but it was relatively warm for this time of year. Overall, it was fun timing for the hike. And then we got some great shots along the way, and I'll just kind of browse through these photos. And Robin, feel free to weigh in with your
Yeah.
commentary.
Yeah, maybe just go a little slower on the photos. They take a little while to load.
Okay. Any commentary beyond that, though?
um, yes, I think they're good photos. We were able to just get a taste of the foliage, and we know that the next couple of weekends it's going to be more oranges, and but we certainly try to take as much shots as we could as we
Yeah,
cruised up and down the Hudson.
yeah. And this is a nice shot looking south towards Manhattan from the back of the ferry heading north up the Hudson, and we had similar shots on our way back, which were great. And it's interesting also to see the water traffic, because boats do use the Hudson for commercial purposes, not just for tourist purposes. So there's some great shots of boats. This is a boat heading south along the Palisades, and the Palisades are the area, the cliffs on the New Jersey side of the Hudson. And they were talking about Palisades Park, which was up just above Weehawken, just north of Weehawken. There were roller coasters that looked back towards Manhattan. And they also talked about how the original cliffhanger, The Perils of Pauline, was set along the cliffs up along Englewood, where Pauline, at the end of one of these serial films, was left dangling over the edge of the Palisades right before the one serial ended, and that was the cliffhanger that hopefully hooked folks to come back the following week to see whether Pauline would survive. And you can see throughout some of the colors are starting to show. This was the weekend of like October 18th, 19th. So we'll probably be at peak for this type of cruise heading right into Halloween weekend, thereabouts. Or maybe next weekend, actually, might be peak.
Yeah, next weekend looks like it might be really great. You
And
get less green and more of the variation in colors.
yeah. And interestingly, we have done this bike ride along the Palisades to Piermont, New York, where you can ride your bike along 9W, which is a great ride. This is a shot of the first FM transmitter, radio transmitter ever built by a gentleman named Sarnoff, who, again, the tour guide gave us some information about Sarnoff and how he was a friend and rival of Marconi's back in the early days of radio. And they found the audio quality of AM radio not to be as good as the audio quality of FM radio. And this was the first FM antenna ever installed out here, and it's at heights in Englewood Cliffs. And it helped transmit that radio signal, the FM radio signal, out to the rest of the world. And got quite a few shots here. This schooner heading south. I think this next one is sideways. You like that, Robin? Yes?
Yes, that was great. That is great.
Yeah. But it's really pretty out there. Definitely recommend it. Like I said, I think as you get closer towards the end of October, heading into November is probably the best time, because we've done this twice now in maybe the third weekend of October, and that's slightly ahead of when I think you get your peak colors. But you can see we got some glimpses of this, and I imagine it'll get better in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And you see there's a landslide, rock slide that happened off the Palisades in northern Jersey, which we got some up close shots of. And we're thinking about doing some calendars, or making some stuff out of these photographs, because they were really great. And definitely recommend, if you're into photography, sailing, or just getting out on the water, it's definitely great. We've done it with both the water taxi and this time with the Circle Line, and both had their own charms, right, Robin?
Yes.
Yeah. So this one I think was a little more. It was great just to get the time out in Bear Mountain, and you'll see that in a bit. Here's another shot of the George Washington Bridge in Manhattan receding in the distance. The Hudson River train line runs along the east side of the Hudson, and we got a bunch of shots of trains running along the side. There's some video we'll look at a little bit later on. It's the Tappan Zee Bridge. That looks like Piermont, I believe, which is where we biked to. Again, a great bike ride along the west side of the George Washington Bridge. And this is a view from the back of the Circle Line, heading up past the Tappan Zee. And then, Robert, you took some shots of the cranes doing work on the new bridge that's going to replace the current Tappan Zee Bridge.
Yes. So the idea, I think, is that they're going to update the current Tappan Zee Bridge. So there's a lot of work going on, and some major engineering feats happening there. So as the boat pulled up, we wanted to take some shots of that and just seeing what's happening and how it's happening. Ideally, there's going to be a bike/walking path along this Tappan Zee Bridge. There currently isn't one, and I think both sides of the bridge and the community really want one. And once there's one up there, it will be a great bridge to be able to bike across or to walk across.
Supposedly the biggest construction job happening in the United States right now is this new build of the Tappan Zee Bridge. So I must say it's not the most beautiful. Of the three bridges we went under, Tappan Zee is squarely in third place. The George Washington Bridge is great, and then you'll see some shots of the Bear Mountain Bridge in a bit, which also was really beautiful. This is Robin's patented a kilter waterway shot.
Good angles.
Good angles, and there you see a boat along. I think that's the New York side, right? Is that up?
Yeah, I think that's the New York side. I think once we get this far up, we're almost at both sides, are the New York sides.
Yeah.
We've already gotten out of Jersey.
Yep. You know what it reminded me a little bit of, Robin? I meant to tell this to you, like the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland. I thought the Palisades have a bit of that flavor to them.
Yeah, you get that sense that it's right on the edge of the water, and when you're up on top of those Palisades looking down, it is a bit ominous. But they're certainly great cliffs.
And then some water, Robin, right?
Yeah.
And that's you.
That is me. Yeah, rough and rugged.
The light was interesting. We were lucky in that we didn't get rained on. Here's Indian Point nuclear facility, which apparently supplies about 45% of New York's energy, which was an interesting factoid from the tour guide. And a lot of the estates on the water are very nice once you get up this far. You can see some of these shots. Nice little ramp heading down to the riverside. And the river gets really wide up around Haverstraw, New York, just south of Bear Mountain.
Yeah.
And we never quite
Yes.
figured out what this thing was, right?
Yeah. It's who knows what it is.
Yeah, direct message us at ramlog.com if you know what this thing is, because we certainly don't. And here's a sense of it as video, just seeing what it feels like to be on the back of the boat, watching the boats go by as you sail north. Pretty relaxing, and there's our first views of the Bear Mountain Bridge off in the distance. Boat's about to pass by. That we have quite a few shots of the boat. There's the bridge.
That's a very nice bridge. That's a great shot.
This is like a Spanish galleon of some kind of tour boat that we got a couple of shots of heading south down towards Manhattan. But it's definitely that type of a river experience. I mean, it's really, you get the sense that you're on one of the deepest, most navigable rivers in the world, and it gets a lot of traffic of all manner of boat. That was a line that I think you would have used, Robin. All manner of boat.
All
That was
manner of boat. Yeah, because you get sailboats, you get cruise ships, you get ferries, you get speedboats, you get schooners. You name it, it shows up on this river.
yeah. And this is the view from the back of the Circle Line, right as we docked there, Bear Mountain. So it took all in all about 2.5 hours to go from West 42nd Street up to the dock at Bear Mountain. And then the great thing is you're right there in the park where you can hike right from there. There's a nice little zoo that we stopped at. This was the lovely orange foliage that welcomed us.
That is a great orange tree.
Great orange tree. This is us saying welcome, and we're actually talking now, but there's stuff that we said then too. And then here's the shot from the top. So this is from the top of the Circle Line where we were sitting pretty much for the whole way. And you get a nice shot of that beautiful suspension bridge, New York on both sides, Bear Mountain really on the west side that we got off on, which is just north of New Jersey. And I think this is the same, it's pretty much the same video.
So once the cruise docked, we have 3 hours before the boat leaves again at 3 p.m. So we decided to take a hike
Yep.
and just get to know the park a little bit before going into the Oktoberfest. And I think most of our travelers were going directly to the Oktoberfest. So the hike around the park was very relaxed and not crowded. We checked out the zoo. We walked a little bit of the Fort Montgomery path and checked out other areas of the park. We hiked a little bit along the bridge and head back, and then we headed over to the Oktoberfest. So I think Mike has pictures of some of these, and he can share it with you.
Yep. And feel free to hop over to me while you're talking, Robin, too, so I can flip through if you want to do the voiceover. But yeah, so the foliage was in full effect. Here's the bridge. Getting a lot of feedback. Here's the bridge. Sorry, here's the Amtrak. Looks like the Amtrak heading south. And then here's some more shots. I believe this is a boat montage, which I'm going to move pretty quickly through. It's us. That's the underpass. There's our friend, the orange tree. And then we start to get into some shots of the foliage. This was the deer sculpture, which we have a couple different shots of. And then within the Trailside Zoo, we did see some bears. And Walt Whitman, who I guess might have been a bear as well. I'm sorry, are you saying something?
Bear. Don't feed the bears.
Don't feed the bears. The sculpture of Walt Whitman was quite nice, and then it's right by the zoo. We have some more shots, foliage shots, which are nice. Here's a nice panorama from an overlooking the Hudson, and you can see the Bear Mountain Bridge to the left. That's a fox from the Trailside Zoo with a nice little glint in his eye. More shots of the Hudson and some foliage. Here's the time lapse. I think we're going to catch the train right about here, zipping along. So I think you start to get a sense of what it feels like out there. And I definitely think the getting out into nature was really the high point of being there, as opposed to getting our drink on at Oktoberfest. Saw these bears. My dad was just saying apparently there's thousands of bears who live up in Bear Mountain, which I didn't realize that bears were doing so well. Similarly, we heard that there's quite a few bears now out in New Jersey, northwest New Jersey and central Jersey. So the bears are back, and they certainly were present here. And then, like Robin was mentioning, there's a nice little hike that we were able to take from right down by after the train shots, and some more shots of nature and bears.
Maybe we can skip ahead to some of the other shots.
You're weighing in to tell me to skip ahead. Any other thoughts?
They're good.
Yep. So this is the shot from the overlook. Overlooking the water. And this is where there's a trail to Fort Montgomery that goes down under the bridge here to the left. And we did take that hike, at least started it, and made it down to under the bridge. And there's nice shots further north up the Hudson where it really kind of opens up and gets, more formal Hudson River Valley. And then this is after we made it down to the inlet. This is really on the water by the sound is nice too, below the bridge. It's a really nice hike, very peaceful place. And we had a nice little hike down here. Got some more fall foliage. Robin, some glam shots. And then I think this is the spider.
That was a big spider, too.
See the large spider right in the middle of this? Slightly creepy. He was a big guy.
He's moving pretty good, too.
Yeah, he was moving pretty good. You can see this is along the trail. There's the spider up close, although he's a little crinkled up there. Definitely recommend the hike. We're going to go back another time to do the full hike up to Fort Montgomery. And here you can see the leaves were falling all around us, which was pretty cool. So did a bit of a head spinner just watching the leaves fall in the wind. It was pretty nice out there, right, Robin?
Yeah, it was really nice and relaxing, and you just become part of nature when you're out there.
Yep.
The water was pretty calm. And it's nice to get down close to the water uh, and just enjoy it.
Yeah. So that was pretty much it for the hike. And then the nice thing is that's me smiling. And here's us climbing back up. We are climbing back up to Oktoberfest. This is the Fort Montgomery Trail. We just went down by the Hudson Inlet over there. Now we're on our way climbing back up under the Bear Mountain Bridge. On our way back up for some German Oktoberfest lunch. And then catching the Circle Line and ride back there. New York. New York. So there's some great shots. I love this shot of Robin having fun. And then we climbed up. This is from up on the bridge itself. You get the sun was great, but when you look over to the right later, you'll see that a storm was about to land and tie us up a little bit. But the views from the bridge were great, and we definitely had a nice time up there. It's a great shot of the boat and the bridge through the foliage. Our Circle Line waiting. Several attempts at shots of ourselves. A pano from the bridge. Some aggressive swans.
Swan.
Did I play the swan?
Yes, play the swan.
The swan. The swan fan. Stay away from here. I'm the biggest thing here. Swan bullying. Stop swan bullying. In a pond. In a pond. It's happening in a pond near you.
Yeah, that swan was pretty aggressive. It was like, I've eaten here and no one else is allowed to touch my stuff.
Exactly. This is a shot down from the bridge. It's Robin right around when she took that shot. This is my old-timey treatment of the Hudson River, sort of reminiscent of the olden days when photography just began. Shot across the bridge. And again, you can start to see fall coming, but it's probably a week or two away. So if you can make it out this coming weekend or the weekend after, you might hit perfect timing in terms of the sun and the foliage. And these are some shots Robin took looking down, which I just really like the color and the patterns. Big old tree. So big we couldn't fit it in the frame. That's where we climbed down. That's the beginning of the trail down to Fort Montgomery. It's me being sporty. And the zoo wasn't bad. You know, we had a nice time. There's the aggressive swan holding it down in the little duck pond. The greens were quite brilliant in addition to the yellows, oranges, and a little bit of red. And this is up at Hessian Lake when we made it back up to Oktoberfest, which was packed with people who take their drinking seriously.
Yes, so once we arrived at Oktoberfest, it was crowded. There were very long lines for beer, and the beer glasses were humongous.
Yeah.
The lake was great. It was very still, and as you can see from this photograph, the reflections are amazing. To see the colors reflected back out, it's just an amazing view.
Definitely worth going back there. If you can avoid Oktoberfest, even better. I'd recommend, you know, early in the week or just not Saturday or Sunday when folks who take their drinking pretty seriously in October kind of take over the space. We pretty much intentionally left their shots out of here. That's Bear Mountain itself. Anyway, we grabbed lunch, rushed back, and then watched as the last stragglers rushed back from their drunken festivities to make it onto the train, onto the ferry, the cruise Circle Line heading back. This is us going under the Tappan Zee Bridge on the way back. All in all, it's a great day out. I mean, we left home at about 8, got up there to the cruise. We're cruising by, say,
we're cruising at 9. The cruise took off.
Yep.
And cruised up for a couple hours. By noon, we were at Bear Mountain, enjoyed a few hours, got some lunch, made it back to the boat by 3, and then cruise on back, and we're back down into Manhattan, 42nd Street, around 6.
And you start to get the sense when you're out on the water heading into Manhattan on a Saturday night that this is like what people do. They take their boats down the Hudson. You can see Manhattan first appearing off in the distance. There's Robin looking lovely on the back of the boat. Me looking lovely with Robin as we tried to figure out how to take our picture. But it's like a whole saga of all the different boats and how they interact with each other. So the Sea Streak is another Foliage cruise that we thought about taking, which stops off in the towns of Cold Spring and Newburgh, which are even north of Bear Mountain. And then this is another schooner that heads up north. It's kind of a beautiful shot. You see New York off in the distance, the Palisades off to the right, and then this schooner coming by as the Circle Line, which we're on, is kind of racing the Sea Streak, which is about to reappear on your right. And with a name like the Sea Streak versus the Circle Line, I think you might have a sense of who wins the race. But it was really pretty, right? Really tranquil out there, and you get the sense of how quiet it is. The back of the boat is nice too. The bow is really what the Circle Line's known for in terms of its views. But it's cold. At least it was cold in the wind. And then the back was a little more protected. The only problem with the back is the smokers tended to congregate back there. But it was quite nice overall. And then we have some more. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, it was very nice and lots of fun. And as you can see from this shot here, it's a great view heading back into the city. And it's the George Washington Bridge and the Jersey City as well as New York City down in the distance. We took a few shots of that.
Yeah, you really get a sense of. Yeah, you really get a sense of what the city means, like sort of geographically, I guess, when you're on this kind of cruise, because like as you get closer, you really almost can feel the excitement building as you get closer to the city. That's a shot of the Silver Lining. Here's this is Riverdale section of the Bronx, so that you start to see some of the nicer homes that line the Bronx, the old estates north of the George Washington Bridge and the Henry Hudson Bridge over there on the left. There's the George Washington Bridge as we get closer to downtown. You can see the shots here. Here's another shot of the boat, sorry, from the boat of the train heading north, the Henry Hudson Bridge here, which connects Manhattan and the Bronx over Spite and Dival.
And they're working on the bike path there, so soon you'll be able to ride your bike straight across that bridge into the Bronx.
That's right.
Currently under construction now. There are some detours that you can take to get to the Bronx from the tip of Manhattan, but it will be great once that bridge is up and ready to go, and you can ride directly across. It's a very straight shot.
Yep. Yeah, so one thing we've done on other shows is talk more about our bike excursions, and one of the ones that we did recently was up into the Bronx, which was great. But we would have taken the Henry Hudson Bridge if that bike path was open, but it was closed. So we wound up having to head over to the east and up into the Bronx. Wound up riding all the way up into Westchester, and we covered that on our previous show. But yeah, we try to get out on our bikes, not just on boats and bikes, but also on foot and by car. Just try to let you guys know what's going on out and about town. What I love about this one, over
Oh,
on the lower right side here, you can see that's actually the Statue of Liberty way off in the distance. And
that's awesome.
yeah, and you can start to see the skyline come together in these shots.
Oh, yeah, look at that. That's so great.
Yeah, so it's really pretty. This was some other shots. This is, I think, again, another time lapse heading down. Get a sense of what it's like on the boat. Henry Hudson Bridge. This is like Inwood Hills and Dykeman, sort of like the north part of Manhattan. And then here you can see by this point, the C Streak has pulled ahead. You can just catch a glimpse of the Statue of Liberty there to the left of the JP Morgan building in downtown Jersey City, to the right side of the bridge there, and then you can see Freedom Tower and the Empire State Building over to the left. So it's a really great shot. A couple more similar shots. And that's pretty much it. So all in all, was quite a day out. As you can see, some shots of the Bronx as we get closer. There's another hyperlapse getting down much closer to the bridge. And then we wind up wrapping up with shots of, I think this is the Bronx, right, Robin?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's yeah, it's close to the tip of Manhattan,
Yep.
Riverdale area.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then I'm going to go double speed on this. But this is, again, we're heading right underneath the George Washington Bridge. Going a little faster, it's going to jump around, but you get a sense of what it was like for us to go underneath the bridge. It's fun. There's the Little Red Lighthouse, where we see some more pictures of the Little Red Lighthouse coming up. But this perspective on Manhattan was really impressive. I don't remember capturing it this well before and really experiencing it this way, because it's interesting. You live in a town for such a long time, and you don't really get as connected to it as you do, I think, when you start to experience it by water, which is really sort of the history of the city. It's why the city wound up growing where it did, was because of its location at the base of this great river, right next to Long Island, and New York Harbor is pretty impressive. These are some more shots of the Bronx.
So that's I think basically it. Um,
It's the cloisters as we get closer. See the cruise ships heading out. We're not done until we see your little red lighthouse montage, Robin, right?
okay. Um, yes, I try to take a lot of photos of the Little Red Lighthouse and try to get a full circle of it. Um,
This is the graffiti along the railroad tracks, which is pretty cool. Here we go. Little Red Lighthouse by Robin Naughton. Funny thing is, like, speaking also to how we're getting around, this is also a place where we've ridden our bikes to pretty routinely, and we've taken a lot of shots from under the bridge by foot, where we ride our bikes up there and we take a bunch of shots. But this was really the first time we'd done it to this level from the boat, which was pretty cool. And then come back to Midtown, and this is a quick shot from Midtown, really from across the ferry. You can see the ferry leaving. This is just after we took the ferry back, got off the Circle Line, took the ferry back to Hoboken, and we're about to take our bike ride back to our home. But overall, was quite the excursion, and I think we definitely would recommend it to other people.
Yes, it was a great day. It's a good day trip. So if you're ever interested in taking a day trip and just exploring the Hudson and just really enjoying the tour and Bear Mountain, it's a great opportunity and it's a great thing to do. So we highly recommend it. Um, yeah, and that's it, I think, for this evening. We'll be back next week with more interesting local excursions and activities. A hike, a bike, a ride, a cruise, who knows?
It was fun. So definitely recommend this one, and hopefully we'll continue to find stuff for you. We try to do these shows every Sunday night, so stay tuned, and thanks for taking a look.
All right. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Bye.